Welcome to the OAH training for suitable representatives on expectations and procedural rules. This section addresses what you can expect regarding the appointment process. The training will help you understand how the OAH coordinator will decide to recommend you as a suitable representative for a specific party in a specific case. The training will cover how you or the party can accept or reject the appointment. The training will explain what information and records you can expect to receive about the case from OAH. In addition, you will learn about the expectations for filing a notice when you accept an appointment and when you withdraw your appearance. The ADA coordinator determines if a party is disabled and in need of a representational accommodation. The next step is to identify someone in the network who can serve as the suitable representative. Taking this training is required to become a member of the network. The ADA coordinator will consider the factors in WAC 1024-010, subsection 11, to identify a qualified individual. The ADA coordinator may contact a network member if the party knows the member and stated a preference for that member, the member has represented or is currently representing the party, the member has stated a preference for or interest in disputes of this type of case or substance, working with people with certain types of disabilities, and the geographic area, including the availability to travel. And they will also consider if the member is available to meet the case timelines. The ADA coordinator will give the network member information about the party's needs and the case to help the network member decide whether to accept the appointment. You will be given important details such as the case type and issue, a description of the stage of the proceedings and the events that have happened so far, estimates of the expected timeline and number of hours in hearing, the needs of the party with the disability, and any approved accommodations. If you accept, the ADA coordinator will give the party a brief description of your qualifications. If the party accepts, they will need to agree and authorize OAH to share with you their personal information and case records. The ADA coordinator will send you an appointment letter from the Chief Administrative Law Judge. Let's look at an example letter. So this is an example appointment letter. And I'm just going to scroll down. If you want to read more of this first page, go ahead and pause the video. We're going to look at the second page together. So I'm scrolling down. So the appointment is limited in scope to advocating for and assisting the party in a specific case. The suitable representative agrees not to disclose confidential information unless authorized. The party consents for OAH to provide the suitable representative with case records for the specific case, and the party understands that the suitable representative will not disclose confidential information except as authorized. And the appointment letter has signature blocks for you and the party to accept the appointment. The ADA coordinator will provide signed copies to both the party and the suitable representative. And as a note, we can receive acceptance in multiple ways. It does not have to be a physical signature. And upon acceptance, the ADA coordinator will arrange to introduce you to the party. Here are some suggestions to plan for your first meeting. Duration. Please consider that due to your client's disability, it may take more time than you expect for your client to explain their needs and the case. Initially, it may be helpful to you to set aside an hour for the first or second meeting. For the place or the method, most first meetings will probably be held by telephone. Due to your client's disability, communication may need to be by email or by Skype or FaceTime or in person. Consider asking the ADA coordinator what communication method they have been using. Discuss the case. You may want to ask what outcome or result your client is hoping for. How they tell their story and how they communicate may tell you a lot about them and their needs. And you may want to learn if the client believes that a settlement is possible. You also want to explain your role. You may want to explain how you will advocate and assist your client in this case. They may not understand that your role is limited to this case. You may find it helpful to use the training document about the role and responsibilities of a suitable representative as a guide. You may also want to review the training document, the scope of duties, about examples of other cases your client might have that are not part of this appointment. Explain the hearing process. Your client may have expectations based on TV legal dramas or past experiences in a hearing or in the courts. It may be helpful to walk your client through what to expect. Your explanation will vary depending on the stage of the case. Communication. It may be helpful for you and your client to agree about when and how you will communicate as the case progresses. Does your client need a reminder before meetings or hearings? You may both have preferences for the time of day to communicate. You may both have expectations for how soon a call or an email should be returned. Working out these preferences ahead of time may help you to successfully communicate. Next steps. You may want to explain what you need from your client to move forward. For example, you may need your client to sign an authorization for you to get information from referring agencies. Is your client able to send you documents or exhibits? Or do you need to help gather them? Is there a date scheduled for a pre-hearing or a hearing? They may need you to help them understand what they have to do before those dates. Upon appointment, you will need to immediately file a Notice of Appearance, or NOA, with OAH. You must also send a copy to all the other parties and their counsel of record. You will find the names and addresses in the Notice of Hearing. The purpose of a Notice of Appearance is to inform all parties that you are the party's representative and that all future case-related documents also need to be sent to you. An exception is in child support cases when the other parent does not have an attorney or counsel of record. Due to address confidentiality rules in those cases, DCS, Department of Child Support, is responsible to send your Notice of Appearance to the other parent. Now, non-attorney representatives are not always required to file a Notice of Appearance under the model rules and some referring agency procedural rules. However, OAH expects you to file a Notice of Appearance even if you are not an attorney. There are several Notice of Appearance forms for you to use on the OAH website. There is a link to them in your training checklist, but they're on that website. When you fill out your Notice of Appearance, you do not need to disclose anything about the accommodation or your appointment. Simply state that you are a non-attorney representative or a limited license legal technician, LLT, or your bar number if you're an attorney. The ADA coordinator will arrange for you to receive copies of all case records. Some case types have paper records in physical files. A food assistance case is an example of case type with a physical file. Some case types have electronic records. An unemployment insurance case is an example of a case where OAH has an electronic case record in its case management system. Depending on the case type, you may receive records in paper form, as an email attachment in a confidential email, or after you sign into an online portal specific to the case. If there has been a pre-hearing conference or other proceedings with the judge, OAH will send you an audio recording on a CD, or you can access it via the portal. Sometimes filing a Notice of Appearance is not enough. In some case types, you are required to do additional consent forms with the referring agency. For example, DSHS and HCA, Department of Social and Health Services and Healthcare Authority, may require your client to authorize you to have access to their records and information. Sometimes this is required before they will speak to you or send you copies of the exhibits. Check with the referring agency's representative to see if they require any additional consent forms. Here are some examples of consent and authorization forms. Don't forget as a note that you can get a PDF version of this training so that you will have access to all of those links. After the hearing, you will receive an order from the judge. As part of your appointment, you will review the order with the party. If they do not want to appeal the judge's decision, then your appointment ends when the appeal deadline passes. If they do want to appeal the decision or ask the judge to reconsider, you will help them write and file the necessary documents. Your appointment ends when the appeal deadline passes or when the review deadline passes. If you want to continue to represent the party, then the party will need to ask at the next level. For example, the party will need to ask the DSHS Board of Appeals or the Superior Court for an ADA accommodation. When you help with a petition for review, here are some key points to remember. It is very important to note the deadline. Some deadlines are measured by the postmark date on your letter. Others are measured by the date your letter was received by the review judge. There is a different process for administrative review of initial orders and judicial review of final orders. A form is not required for an administrative review of an initial order. However, check to see if the ALJ, the judge's order included a form for convenient use. If your client does not petition for administrative review, the initial order becomes final when the deadline for review passes. Here is an example of a form you could use. Pause the video if you would like to study it. I'm going to go ahead and open that. So this gives you some information about the form, but I'm going to go all the way to the end, so I'm going to scroll quickly. And here are your appeal rights. So here is an example of the appeal rights and the form that you could use if you disagree. So let me get rid of that. All right. A form is not required for reconsideration of a final order. Again, check to see if the judge's order included a form for convenient use. Asking the ALJ to reconsider is different from filing a petition for judicial review with the courts. You will want to read carefully the instructions in the ALJ's or the judge's final order. And here is an example of the form that you could use. Again, let me bring it up. And if you want to study it, you are welcome to pause the video. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the end. So there are the appeal rights and again a form. All right. A form is required for a petition for judicial review. It's filed with the court. Now you can use, OH does not provide parties with court forms, but you can use these links to help guide you if your client wants to file a petition for judicial review with the court. There is a section for self-help resources on court.wa.gov. And let's go ahead and go there right now. It's courts.wa.gov with an S. And that's just taking a minute to open. So courts.wa.gov. So here under the self-help resources, I'm going to click that tab. Oh, sorry, we're already there. Okay, and there are people at the courthouse to help the public. They are known as courthouse facilitators. And they are down here, and there's a link to that. And there also is a page with forms. And with our forms right here. Okay. And again, back on our PowerPoint, we also have a link to the forms page. Another resource for you for resources and information is Washington Law Help. And so there's a link to that there. So remember, this is the last thing that you are doing as a suitable representative. Your appointment ends when you file a petition for review a petition for review for the client, or the deadline for the appeal period passes. On rare occasions, suitable representatives may need to withdraw. If this happens and you are no longer able or willing to complete the appointment, please contact the OAH ADA coordinator. You will need to file a notice of withdrawal. You can find a generic notice of withdrawal on the OAH website. It's on the Legal Research and Resources page. Let me go ahead and go there now for you. So I'm going to go to oah.wa.gov. So resources, we're going to the Legal Research and Resources page. And all the way down at the bottom we have the forms. And here's the notice of withdrawal, the template that you can fill out, as well as instructions on how to do that. Thank you for taking this training. We encourage and appreciate feedback to improve any of the training videos and materials. Please send suggestions to the OAH ADA coordinator at OAH_ADA coordinator@oah.wa.gov. Thank you for taking the training. We'll see you in the next video.